Hello, my name is Dr. Evelyn Jagpat, and welcome to Survivor's Guide for Everyday Living. This is a segment for adult survivors of childhood sexual abuse, incest, and molestation. Today, I would like to talk about something that is very difficult for many survivors to manage on a daily basis. That would be intense and difficult to identify or understand emotions. Emotions that seem to pound you from nowhere, they spring on you from out of the blue, and they impact your life in very negative and unpredictable ways. Sometimes they may be hard to label or even understand. The intensity with which you feel them may be so raw that and so overpowering that it may be hard for you or challenging for you to manage them, to go about your day, to get things done, to have productive relationships, to move forward with your goals, to actually get the day going, to feel like it was a day where you lived a powerful and vibrant life. Two of those powerful emotions I like to speak about today, they are anger and anxiety. These are emotions that many survivors deal with in some form or the other on a daily basis, especially if you're still stuck in the trauma of being sexually abused. These are emotions that can often frustrate you and make you feel like you're out of control. Some people describe feeling crazy, like they're not themselves. Others feel clouded or like they've shifted to some other space in their life or some other time. Others seem to feel like they're detached from themselves a little bit, that they're not quite themselves. Ultimately, survivors just feel stuck, bad about themselves, and uncertain of how to even go about trying to manage or contain these emotions. And often that is what survivors do. They try to do damage control. They try to contain and they try to get rid of what the issue is so they can get up and get going. This has always been a part of surviving. What can I do to make this day okay so that I can survive? But often, after a while, the burden can become very difficult to bear. And so the challenge is to find new, positive, and healthier ways of dealing with things. One of the first important steps to learning to deal with anger and anxiety is actually to understand and to clarify what's going on. If you can understand what's going on, I think it will go a long way in helping you to, to maintain a better way of coping with anger and anxiety. They're not random emotions. They didn't just come from anywhere. You're not crazy, and you have nothing to be ashamed of. This is part of your survival mechanism. It is that healthy part of you that helped you to overcome what happened to you, to make it to the point you're at today where you are a survivor, where you have survived childhood sexual abuse as an adult and you're picking up the pieces of your life. Perhaps you've been very successful at that, but there are still issues that remain unresolved. There's still pain from the past. There's still anger. There's still shame. There's still fear. Many other difficult emotions that I won't go into today might still be unresolved because you were sexually molested. This is common. It's an ordinary experience, and I want to normalize that for you right now. This is not something that's happening for no good explanation. It is part of how you've coped. It is, and please do appreciate that. They have been part of your coping mechanism, and they have been part of what has kept you safe. And that is what maintains them, and that is what keeps them in play every time you feel threatened, every time you feel unsafe, every time you feel challenged in some way where you feel that you're losing control or being overpowered, or that life itself is overpowering. Perhaps you're frustrated with a situation that you can't handle or you don't know how to. Perhaps there are people in your life who impose their values or their beliefs, or who make you feel powerless and ashamed. Perhaps there are situations that you wish would be different, but you don't know how to deal with them. You don't know how to move forward. Perhaps you just feel stuck in general, unhappy, maybe persistently feeling like you're out of place, not fully present in your life, not living the best life possible for you, from moment to moment, with a sense of peace. All of these are things that contribute to feeling anxious and angry. I want you to realize that your anger and anxiety have been alarm systems for you, and they've been part of protecting you. Your anxiety is a natural part of that flight, fight, or freeze system. When something happens, such as being sexually abused, it is natural to respond in one of those three ways. And for many people, because of what happens, you can experience significant anxiety. Some people experience PTSD. These are all signals that there are things that are unresolved. You still don't feel safe. You feel overburdened and threatened. They're telling you, respond. They're telling you something's wrong. They're telling you you need relief. They're telling you that there's something that needs attention. They're still part of your alarm system. And the fact that they might be going off tells you that you certainly need to pay attention, and you certainly need to address the anxiety and the anger. Anger might have been part of what you learned to be safe. Your anger might have been part of what you felt towards your perpetrator, or people who weren't there for you, or circumstances and situations that developed as a result of being sexually abused. Maybe there are other people in your life now who also repeat that experience of making you feel helpless, out of control, not valued, not respected, used, not powerful in your own life. Perhaps there are life situations that contribute to that. Perhaps those intense feelings of anger come from that part of you that wants to fight back. And that's something I guess it's very important right now to say. You are a natural fighter. The fact that you're a survivor tells me that. The fact that you survived childhood sexual abuse lets me know you have a tremendous spirit and a tremendous fighting spirit who knows how to overcome all the odds. That's beautiful. That's wonderful. That's no part of you that anyone should ever want to change. However, that fight is part of your spirit. It's part of your energy. It doesn't have to be manipulated by anger. It can actually be used to help you live a productive, healthy, vibrant life today. It can actually be diverted away from the trauma that happened in your past to moving towards your goals and your future and the things that are positive and beautiful that you want in your life. And that is what has to be, I guess, the essence of using that anger. Using it in a way where you can take that energy now and powerfully use it in helping you to move forward. Often, what happens for survivors is that because what happened in the past is still unresolved, and because you're still struggling to deal with those emotions that perhaps weren't completely dealt with from the past, they keep coming up over and over again. The anxiety, the anger. Take a moment. I want you to pause for a minute. Understand that for a minute, when things happen, or many things happen, those emotions become triggered, and they potentially pull you back into the past. They manipulate your present and pull you back into experiencing what you experienced when you were sexually abused. This is why I call it manipulation. It is taking you back into your past, into your history, and back into your pain, where you relive it over and over again in some way, so that you can't move forward and live a positive, healthy, vibrant life. The goal then would be to help you become unstuck from being pulled back into the past and being able to stay present and shift into your future. Often, these emotions, when they get triggered, they're triggered by fear. They're triggered by a sense of being threatened, of you being at harm, of you not being safe. And so it's very often the case that survivors will respond automatically. The anxiety becomes rampant and on edge and uncontainable. The anger, you may flip out, an outburst, not knowing where it's coming from. All of a sudden, things might become very fuzzy. When I say fuzzy, I'm also talking about your thinking. It might be hard to think. If you can for a minute, sort of imagine one of those episodes. Thinking isn't the first thing it's reacting. Reacting is happening. Thinking comes last. And often the thinking comes after an episode of anxiety and after an episode of anger. And still, there might not be clarity. When you're anxious and when you are angry, your thinking is compromised. And it's very hard to really even evaluate the level of threat, the real level of safety, and appropriate ways to respond, or to think about solutions or alternative ways of dealing with whatever's going on. Often, you may do things that compromise moving forward, or compromise making good decisions. If you can't think clearly, then you can't respond appropriately. And of course, when these emotions become triggered, it reduces your ability to move towards your future, out of your past. They're automatic. Once they get triggered, they tend to just keep being triggered. Automatic. Until you find a way to actually stop the process, arrest it, and move from survival mode to thriving mode. And that's something we'll talk about in the next segment. How to practically slow down these emotions and claim that moment back as your own so that you're not pulled back into the past, and so you can respond more appropriately to whatever is going on right now. It has been a pleasure being with you. I hope I've helped to add some clarity to why anger and anxiety may be overtaking your life sometimes. Next time, I hope you'll join me where we can talk about what you can actually do. Wish you all the best, and I'll see you next time.